2 months ago, StarCraft 2 content creator Pig offered a $100 reward for any pro gamer that could beat 7 Cheater 3 AIs in a 1v7. None of the pro gamers managed to do it, with the best player of all time, Cyril, even tweeting that it was straight up impossible. The only way players finished it was by messing with the strategy or hosting some kind of island map where the AIs were absolutely clueless. After trying this challenge for a few weeks, I think I found the perfect strategy. Did I manage to complete the challenge? Let's find out. Alright, here we go. You can see the build settings are set to any build. I will not be able to control what strategies they choose, making it hard to counter. And I am playing against all Zerg. Initially I was playing against all random, but pro gamer Kellezer convinced me to play it against Zerg because he said I would have the best chance against it, so I gave it a shot, and here we are. Now if you're wondering why I'm doing a voiceover instead of live commentary, is that this is possibly, or probably, the hardest challenge I've ever tried. The attempt you guys are watching is literally attempt number 71. I actually was commentating all my attempts before, but you guys can imagine. I actually lasted for a while, but somewhere halfway, I went absolutely insane after commentating so many attempts and explaining everything every time again. And at some point I decided to just record my footage with the webcam and then just do a voiceover to explain things later. Probably giving better commentary and preserving my mental sanity, which is nice. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys why 1v7 against the Insane AI is so difficult. First of all, Insane AIs, they map hack and they mine more resources. What that means is that they blind counter your unit set and they make, more units than I can make alone, and all of them individually, right? So their army is absolutely massive. Now, another thing that's difficult in 1v7, I'm not sure if this is just the Insane AI. Personally, I've only tried 1v7 against the Insane AI. I didn't try Elite, but it might be the same for Elite. Is that the only way you can defend against all the armies is if you get a wall of up in some kind of choke and actually have units behind it to defend it. If you have a neighbor like in a 1v7, the moment you make a building in the choke, they will pull their workers, send all of their early game units to kill it, and it's just too disruptive and you will lose the game because of that. So what you have to figure out is how to deal with your neighbor while getting a wall of up at the same time. Now personally, I've tried a few different strategies. The first strategy I tried that worked quite well was going for a 1-1-1-on-1 base, getting a fast Reaper, making a supply depot in an awkward spot next to my neighbor's base, so he would pull the drones, he wouldn't quite be able to kill the depot, and with extensive Reaper micro I would be able to kill the drones over time and take it from there. And a strategy I'm doing here is actually my most successful strategy. It is also the craziest build ever, as you guys can see. So what I figured out was that if you actually land and lift a building close to your neighbor, they do not actually care. For some reason, if you make a building next to them, is the worst thing in the world for them. But if you land one in their vicinity, it's totally fine. So that way, I can turn my CC first into a planetary and actually defend the choke and then bait his workers into the planetary with some kind of building afterwards, dealing with my neighbor in that way. Now, the build for this, if you guys are curious, was CC first, gas, barracks, gas, eBay, which, if you would tell me someone does that in 1v1, I would actually think they're insane. So, yeah, I'm actually very glad I figured this out. I do think this only works against all Zerg. I feel like if I would move on and play this against all Terrans, all Protoss, against all random, I don't think this would work because of Immortals, siege tanks, Terrans harassing your main base as well. They do like to do that. So if you guys want to see me show you guys my best attempt against all Terran, Protoss, or random as well, make sure to let me know in the comments. And if you do enjoy this kind of challenge, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Turn on the notifications. Now, if you looked at the webcam here, you can actually see I was a little bit annoyed. Let me explain you why. In 1v7, you need a little bit of luck with what build orders the other AIs do. Because it's unpredictable, you kind of have to counter everything. What annoyed me here was that I saw the creep. You see the creep on the bottom of the screen? It let me know that my neighbor did a hatch first, which means that that base is going to be harder for me to take later on as my third, and he will also have mined from it already. One thing I do have to add on, by the way, is that if you're going to do this challenge, it would actually be reasonable to redo it until you get different spawns, because this spawn is actually not that great for this. And the reason is that your natural is super open. Ooh, here the target fire on the Baileys is very important. I know this looked relatively easy to hold, but without the target fire it could have been a disaster. But on this spawn, your natural is relatively open, so at some point Queens and Zerglings will walk into your natural, which is super annoying. So ideally on this map you have the bottom right or the top left spawn. Now here you can see, every time I make a building, the AI pulls more units to my planetary, and this is the point. I actually need to keep making depots This has been a little bit of a chaotic start, worse than I wanted, but if you keep making depots, they will also keep sending drones, and you really have to do that, because you cannot allow your neighbor to live under any circumstance. You really need to mine from 4 decent bases to have a chance in this challenge. I think in all my best attempts, I completely ran out of money. And here you can see the struggle I highlighted before, that units are actually going to my natural instead of just walking into the PF, even the queen attacking my gas. Now, you may have noticed that I send a Liberator to harass the AI above me. Now, it's actually super important to do this. You cannot win this challenge by defending alone. A lot of this challenge is actually based on doing counter damage. AIs really hate dealing with Liberators. So if you siege a Liberator in their base, sometimes they do deal with it, sometimes they really struggle to deal with it for even the entire game. Most of the times they do kill it, but even then, it tends to keep their entire army at home. And they will lose a lot of money. So if their AI attacks later on, let's say you're denying 2 AI's mineral lines, that means their army will just be 2 armies weaker, which could be 200 army supply, right? So that's actually huge. Now, very important here is this wall. I also experimented with different kind of walls a lot. So here you can see I have a planetary, and I made a barracks, or I landed the barracks and made 2 E-bays in front of it. At some point I was experimenting with 2 planetaries. The problem with planetary fortresses is that they do actually draw the aggro of the unit. So any kind of unit will attack it. If you have engineering base, however, a lot of time the AI will just derp and kind of walk around weirdly. They do still break it sometimes, but I think this is probably the best wall you can do. Potentially you could add a second PF behind the eBay wall, but making sure you have that eBay wall up is very important. Notice how I'm still... Okay, for this I have to pull some workers usually. The Liberators here are crucial, by the way. Like I said, this is the... I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, actually. You always need to find a balance between sending out Liberators or not. These Liberators are helping immensely in bugging out the AI. Without these Libs, they may have actually busted through and probably not killed the PF, but maybe killed all of the eBays. So sieging these Liberators at home has helped a lot, and now I have some more space to send them out after holding the attack. Now notice how I'm still making supply depots behind my planetary fortress. I'm really just doing this so my neighbor pulls more and more drones and doesn't mine out my base. Now, something that's a little bit tough is to decide how many factories versus starports you want, because Liberators are great, but tanks might be even better. And at some point you need a lot of Vikings and turrets as well to deal with air. But because the AIs are set on any build, you can't really know how many of them are going to go for air, how many are going to go for X, you know, it's really hard. But I found that 2 factories plus a fusion core are the best strategy. The fusion core is really important because it allows you to harass more bases with Liberator range. Because some of the AIs will defend your Liberator with, let's say, 3 Hydras. On some bases, Hydras actually cannot reach a Liberator with range. So rather than getting a second starport, I think getting Liberator range is very important here. You see I already got some turrets up. Ooh, I'm actually very lucky to not lose that tank there in red health. Getting the turrets up is super important. First of all, to kill Overseers. But also, you don't know when they're gonna make Mutas and Corruptors. But they do make them at some point. I'm not sure if they always make Mutas. They definitely always make Corruptors, which would just clean out my Liberators for free. But I'm pretty sure they also make Mutas. You can see the Liberators on the left side are doing very well. I did lose the one on the right side, sadly. I'm just making more and more depots until there's really no drones left. And then I'm going to try to take that base. Now, another difficult part is that I'm not showing it on the screen, but all the bases in the middle of the map, I think it's 6 of them. All those bases are gold bases. You cannot allow the AI to mine from the 2 gold bases next to mine. So you see on the right side of my main base, there's a gold base. At some point, I'm gonna have to deny that. And like I said, this winning against 1v7 AI, it's really important that you do counter damage. And denying the gold base is a must. Not just because you deny the mining, but if you threaten something, the AI is programmed to attack back. So if I siege a bunch of Liberators on the gold base, the AI will try to attack it with ground army and their trades will just be very inefficient. It is really important that you realize that you cannot just defend, because then you will lose. You actually need to do all of these moves. Now at this point, I have a lot of siege tanks cut from my second factory, which are doing fantastic. You see I'm setting up turrets in the main base, and that is for the purpose I just explained. I want to be able to siege that gold base, but I don't want my stuff to die to Mutas and Corruptors, so you need to set up those turrets there. Now that Liberator is 45 kills, by the way. You could tell I saved that Liberator and these as well until I had lib range, and now I can deny these bases without being in danger. Unless they have air units, of course. Air units would be able to deal with that anyway. This larva is denying my third base for an eternity, which is a little bit annoying. And now I'm also setting up turrets in my neighbor's main base. And one thing that's actually very good to do that I haven't done here is hotkeying your tanks. Because infestors neural parasite your tanks a lot, and you need to be able to target them instantly, or else your tank just destroys you. Now at this point, I have to make some more starports. The reason for this is that turrets at some point are not enough to deal with the air units they have. At some point you need... I'm not sure what the magic number is. I think I like to make between 15 and 20 Vikings. Now this AI challenge, by the way, has made me realize a big weakness of the Liberator. And it's that it does not attack the Ravager automatically, because it doesn't consider it an anti-air. So you can tell if you don't target it, my Liberators would just be attacking the roaches instead. So now my neighbor surrendered. It's because I killed all of his drones. That's very good. Now he won't resist anymore to me taking his base. At first I was also sieging a lot of Liberators in this choke. Right now you can tell I usually only have 1 or 0. I noticed that the tanks are just better to have and the Liberators are better spent attacking. What does suck is that if you look on the minimap, yeah, you can see I lost all the Liberators on the right side. Typically, as a rule I put for myself, is that I thought you could only win if you deny 4 bases worth of economy. And right now I'm only denying 2. So here I was actually not too happy with the situation. But I did manage to kill my neighbor and I didn't take any damage yet. Typically at this point, I feel my average game, I would already be dead at this point. Like, this challenge is really hard. I know right now it looks like we're doing smooth sailing so far, but trust me, I'm not lying when this was attempt 71. On my main account, this replay was actually noted as Abandoned Parish 69, because 2 attempts were on another account, so I guess that was nice. Now you can tell, I'm denying the gold base on the left side. I also need to set up turrets in this base you see right now, so I can deny the other gold. And here you can see what I mean. I'm not just killing drones, I'm also killing a ton of units on that base, because the AI is just like, I need to defend this. I mean, they're literally programmed to do it. I'm sorry, buddy. It's not my fault. Just trying to break a record here. Now, normally I've taken a lot more damage at this point, so I feel like here I was getting cautiously optimistic. Every time I see the armies, however, they look freaking massive. You can tell I instantly went to make more turrets. My Vikings did come out at a perfect time, though. I guess after 71 attempts, you are kind of used to the timings that they have. So you can tell the first Corruptor showed up and I instantly had my Vikings, which was really pleasant. One thing I was not sure about, and this is actually tough. You would think, because one thing that's really good in Terran late game is making a lot of orbitals, because you can drop a lot of mules, you'll be rich, you have infinite scans. But here, you're obviously very limited on resources. You basically have 3.5 base, if you calculate the mining your neighbor did, or maybe even 3. So, in this game, I didn't even want to make another CC. I just wanted to wait for my main to mine out to lift it over. Like you see, the turrets are really good against Corruptors, by the way, because the Corruptors, instead of flying through and attacking air units, they tend to use their ability on the missile turrets. But missile turrets, obviously, are pretty efficient against Corruptors, killing them like that. Now, this setup does look like it's going to be broken. That AI actually got a disgusting fungal on my Vikings there. One thing that is really important too, is you always need to repair your units. Because repairing your units is way cheaper than making a new one. So since you have limited resources, more than ever, which I think you guys will like, because when I play my normal challenges in 1v1, you guys always beg me to repair my stuff. So yeah, here I always try to repair as much as I can. That Liberator was at 113 kills, by the way. That's incredible. The first Liberator you send out always tend to do the best, because they will deny the AI's economy before they get to a lot of units. So that's important. Now, even though I only denied 2 bases of mining, at this point I started to feel like the fact that I was denying both of these gold bases was going really well for me. They keep coming in. I have so many siege tanks at this point. It's actually kind of absurd. I feel like I never got to this point where I did many siege tanks. The abilities on the left side looking a bit scary here. The blinding cloud, the fungals. But there's just an absurd amount of tanks. And I really believe you can tell that the AI derps a lot because of the E-base at the front. I feel like that's the first time I saw an Ultra attack these, so I didn't... It's actually kind of hard to see when you're playing, because you're very busy with surviving and stuff. Ooh, really good parasitic bomb there. Quickly landing the Viking to get rid of it. I'm sure now that the eBay wall is better than a second planetary, because the engineering bay wall at the front is really just destroying the AI right now. I do have to say this looks really weird that I haven't taken the base yet, but as you can see, I have no money to start a CC, and I really did not want to take risks. So, if you guys are wondering how long do you need to survive for this, I think typically you need to survive for at least 30 minutes. My best attempts are usually around 20-22 minutes. And I think my actual one best attempt, I survived at 29 minutes. And I thought I had it and I moved out and they still had an army and killed me. So I would say, yeah, maybe to be really safe, it's probably like, it could even be 45 minutes. Like, I don't know how much money they have. But they can always spam like a ton of Zerglings. So if you move out with, you know, just tanks and Vikings, you'll still lose to the Zerglings. You've noticed at this point I haven't made any upgrades yet. And normally, I think that sounds a bit silly because I have so many mech units, you would rather have 1-1. But I really just feel like every time I decided to be a little bit greedy, get an extra command center, get an extra, you know, couple of armories, I always died somehow. Like, sometimes it seems impossible to die, but trust me, I have died sitting 200 supply behind my turrets with a good composition and then just A-moving through my wall. Because at some point, they get an insane army. Sometimes they go for Brute Lords as well, and in that case you have to do a lot of good tank micro. I'm baiting them here with the Vikings is going really well, by the way. Like, I know mutas look cheap here, but I just killed like 2k worth of resources just with these Vikings. And I didn't actually... Look at this tank on the low ground. He abducted it there, but that tank is now MVP. It's just shooting at units for free, and the other units are afraid to go because there's a Liberator zone covering it. This is accidentally the most abusive thing ever. He abducted my tank and is getting punished. At this point I was like, oh crap, I have like 6 Liberators here chilling. Now, it is sometimes difficult to make the decision between making Liberators or Vikings, because right now I'm maxed. If they would actually break me one time, I could go down to 140 supply, and then you kind of wish you saved some money and didn't just rashly decided to make Vikings or Liberators, because sometimes you're not sure which one you need. Now, I think at this point I was considering making a sensor tower as well. And a sensor tower sounds like a waste of money, right? Because you're sitting in your base anyway. But if you think about it this way, that sometimes, like I have 3 Liberators here, for example. If I get busted at the front with Ultras, I would rather have had those Liberators at the front. You can see there are actually a lot of Corruptors coming in here. Gonna lose a few Liberators to this. Keep in mind, I'm basically playing against... How many bases are on the map here? 4, 5, 6, 8, 11... I think this is like an 18 base Zerg I'm playing against basically, and I'm on 3.5 bases. But I am denying a few bases of economy, so it's more like a 14 base Zerg, I would say. I think at this point I must have already gotten my turret upgrades as well. I think those are pretty important actually, the upgrades from the engineering bay for the turrets and the planetary fortress. I usually get them at some point, so I didn't actually see myself get them, but I feel pretty certain that I do have them. Notice how oh, that's actually such a big army. Every time they show up again, the army gets bigger and bigger. I feel like I've killed 5 billion resources, but they just keep on coming. Man, the eBays are doing so well. I actually am extremely happy I figured out that eBays are better than a second planetary. I did take a little bit of, what do you call this, inspiration from watching Beastie Cutie's channel. Beastie Cutie was the king of the AI challenges. I actually kind of assumed this challenge would be impossible because he didn't complete it, but I did take a lot of inspiration for him. And yeah, one thing he did do was the second planetary. He did play it a little bit different from me. I noticed that I was always trying to wall with buildings, and he would just put 2 PFs at the front. But I think this might actually be even better. That Ultra on the right side was trying to burrow and it got sniped. I didn't even notice that. Now, I'm still extremely poor. One mistake I made this game was that I was actually pretty slow at mining out my main base. My main base should have been mined out already, but for some reason I just didn't drop that many mules. I guess I wasn't really occupied with it. You know, it would be sick to see. I'm not sure if they still use it, but for a while in pro tournaments, they had this thing called Battle Report, where after a battle, the observer could press a certain button, and you would see the resources lost in that battle. I would love to see the resources lost in the fight over the gold right side of my main, because I think I must have out-traded them by like 20 or 30 to 1 here, because I don't think I lost anything, but I've killed so much. I should have checked the kill count on those libs. I do check the kill count on my Liberators on the top bases at some point. Now here, I feel like since we're approaching 20 minutes, this is already one of my best attempts. Like I said, my best attempts usually ended around 20, 21, 22 minutes. So here I was starting to get cautiously optimistic because I was in a better spot than normal. Like normally here, I'm struggling with money and you have to survive a few more waves and it's looking tough. Here, I think this was the best situation I found myself in. And I really credit this to two things. The first one is just the eBay wall at the front. Excuse me. And the second one is how well I actually battled those gold bases. Like normally this game is an absolute struggle. This game, it has seemed relatively comfortable up until this point. Now, I did read the AI pretty well here. What happened here was that the AI was consistently defending the gold base on the right, more than on the left. But since the one on the right side died to my siege tanks, I quickly rotated my units to the left because I figured they would start attacking here now. Now you can see how annoyed the AI is that I'm sieging this because the Ultralisk car, yeah, that is a lot of money going down the drain for them. Now finally I've actually taken this fourth base. To be fair, I haven't needed it so far because I've always been maxed. Or well, not quite maxed because I'm actually supply blocked at 188. At this point I wasn't even sure if it would be smart to make supply depots or not. Like maybe it's better to save the 200 minerals and just remake the units when I actually lose them. I think somewhere here I might also be getting armory upgrades. You can see I'm scanning to see what their army composition is like. And one thing I'm not sure about, it would be nice to get like some pro gamer insight on that, is how the AIs are programmed to attack. Because you've noticed in the last few, I want to say 2 minutes or 3 minutes, they actually haven't attacked me straight up. They're just trying to defend the base. So I wonder if they need a certain mass of units to actually attack your base instead of defending theirs. I mean, I guess I am threatening multiple... Oh, there's the armory. Nice. I actually got that armory to make Thors, by the way. I don't typically like to make Thors, but I felt like... Especially if they get Brute Lords at some point, or if they keep having air. And especially because there haven't been that many Vipers, a Thor might just be a consistent amount of damage. Dude, I wonder how many tanks are here, by the way. That looks like 20 tanks. There's another 5. It's probably about 29 tanks, I would say. Maybe we even reach 30. Now here, since my money was looking good, since I took the fourth base, I decided to make a couple more armories. Now, I know it's been looking very good, but remember what I said the last time? My best attempt, I still got wiped by a full army at 29 minutes. So I'm definitely taking this game very cautious. And one thing that's important is that you actually bait the... Oh, there's a few Brute Lords, that's scary. But I do have a lot of Vikings now. Now, even if you think you're doing good, you shouldn't move out. It's better to just bait the AI in. Oh, he's actually going to attack there. That's going to be annoying because there's a lot of air. But I do have a lot of turrets. Now, you see? There's Brute Lords here, so I'm actually going to have to unsiege these tanks before I kill... Oh, I actually do it right away, yeah. Because I would have probably killed 3 of my own tanks if I kept them sieged. And man, the turrets are doing fantastic. I really think the building armor and the plus range upgrade on the turrets make a massive difference. Now, I was unsieged. He tries to push in here again. Yeah, every time I see it again, I notice how good the E-base are. Because the Ultra is definitely derp a little bit at the E-base. Now, the magic moment for me, I think is going to be at about 30 minutes. I feel like the closer I get to 30 minutes, the better I will feel. Because, you know, first of all, I will have broken my own record. Which you guys already know, because this is my best attempt. I'm going to survive at least 29 minutes and 30 seconds in this. I can tell you guys that at this point. Now, once again, guys, if you would like me to see me do this challenge against other races as well, make sure to comment it, because I will try. For a long time, I thought this one was impossible. I mean, you know, it has taken me a million attempts to actually get to this point. When I got my attempt at 29 minutes, I did start feeling like it was possible. Like here, I'm super scared that I still throw this game. Or maybe not throw, but just like, at some point I have to move out and then they could surround me. But here I was getting optimistic and I didn't want to show it just because I got scared. Like if you look at the camera, I looked really focused now. And I was just scared that they would still just wait for me. To explain in detail what happened at one time that I got 29 minutes is I scanned and their army was too big for me to move out. but they stopped attacking. So I was sitting in my own base for 3 more minutes, just waiting for them to attack. And then at some point I was like, well, I have to move out because they're not doing anything, and then they still killed me. So I'm really, you know, doing extreme caution here. Like, I'm sure they combined still have more supply than me, you know? I have to say they have at least 400 supply at this point, so I'm being super careful. But yeah, if you guys want to see me do this against in other matchups, please let me know. I think Zerg is definitely the easiest of the 3. Even though I'm the first one to do it, I still think it's the easiest of the 3. Random is... that is just, you know, I wouldn't say insane, but this is already called insane, so I guess just extreme ultra omega challenge. And I think both Terran or Protoss would also be incredibly hard. I've actually challenged my my friends from Pro Gaming to try it as well. I know Goblin and Skillis have both been trying this for Protoss. If you guys would like to see me try this with other races myself, like rather than play other races, but maybe try with Zerg or Protoss myself, also let me know. If enough people want it, I would totally be down. Now, I feel like at this point, I think I'm considering moving out. I'm not sure what my... okay, I do have 1-1. I'm not sure if I started 2-2. And the main reason I'm thinking about moving out is because every time I scan... yeah, there you can see I'm unsieging a bunch of stuff. Every time I scan, I don't see a lot of units. So I think we have approached the point where the AI's army is too small to attack into me, at least. Like, I don't think it's too small to beat me, but I think it's too small to move into me. Like, if I look at this game from a spectator POV at this point, some people would be celebrating, but you know, like I've explained a few times, I've lost beyond this part, and I'm really not going to be any celebratory until I really manage to do it. I'm going to be very cautious here. Now I'm getting my 2-2. Notice how many tanks I'm leaving on the high ground. I would definitely recommend that you guys do something like this as well, because these AIs are actually sneaky. I don't know how they do it, but they're sneaky. I do wonder what the best tactic is to bait an AI into attacking you, by the way, because normally you just sit there and they attack you, but at this point, you kind of want to bait them into attacking into you. But I'm not sure how you can do that, because tanks are quite slow. Like, if Zerglings would attack these tanks, I might even lose a few of them, you know, because of the tanks on the high ground doing splash damage. Now, at the same time, because I've denied these gold bases, I think that also puts me in an even better spot. Yeah, you see there, almost lost 2 siege tanks. It is quite scary. Denying these golds put me in an even better spot, because now I can mine from the golds themselves. I think for sure that gas should be mineable at the bottom at least. Actually, it's a weird situation where I'm playing mech, but I have no minerals. And the reason is pretty simple, is because this game, I've quite literally made a gajillion turrets. Actually, I wonder if any one of you can guess it. How many turrets do you think I've made in this game? I'm actually gonna make more, by the way, just saying. But up until this point, or maybe in total, I wonder if you guys can guess how many turrets I've actually made here. Now, I'm actually really surprised that this Thor survived. I remember this moment, I was like, wait, that Thor is dead for sure, because there's like 14 siege tanks shooting it. Oh my goodness, you guys see that? That Liberator is on 209 kills. That is absolutely incredible. Now, I think one thing that I'm missing here is actually a Raven for the creep. Like, keep in mind, I was never able to make orbitals, so I actually cannot really scan. I can't kill the creep. If I ever take a fight, I do not want it to be on creep, because this stuff is absolutely terrifying. You see, I'm moving out. Wait. Oh, I actually did make another command center. Oh, yeah, I guess that is going to that gold base. This is actually a really funny thing, by the way. You wouldn't think about it, but AIs don't kill rocks, which actually helps me out a lot, because if those rocks were down, imagine if all the rocks were dead in this map, their attacks would actually hit harder and better, and they would even be able to defend better. Now, I guess I must have a lot of SCVs on auto repair as well at this point. And here, since we're approaching 30 minutes, this is the moment I said. I died at, I think it was about 29, 25. So here, I was expecting them to only have 1 army. If they had more than 1 army, I would have seen it by now. So I'm expecting them to have a combined maybe 200, 300 supply. And I'm just trying to wipe out these bases, get my gold saturated. I mean, here, that army is obviously very tiny. What was that? 5 roaches and 2 hydras. If that army beat mine, I would probably complain about, you know, Zerg, write an email to the balance team, but no. And I think this was the moment where I started feeling like I had it in the back because of this planetary. Like, before this planetary, it was a bit scary, but now I'm gonna mine from that gold. And I remember clearly from that game that I lost that I only had one more army to kill and that's it. And in that game, I wasn't able to get the gold bases. They were actually mined out. I wasn't able to deny them. So here, now I have that gold base. That's probably... How many minerals is that? 5,000 minerals or so I can mine. I really felt like I had it in the bag. And now we're gonna do some hunting. Now you can tell I'm sieging my Liberators. That's my backup plan. Because the army composition that is the most scary here is Ling Ultra. And if I have 5 Liberators sieged, I can only imagine the AI would be pretty discouraged from going into it, seeing how scared they have been of Liberators in general. Now, it's actually... You would be surprised how annoying the static defense is on this, by the way. Like, every time I A-move somewhere, the spines and spores actually do a lot of damage. Like, it's not that easy to just, like, spread your army and A-move everywhere. Like, you see these spines actually kind of getting into my tanks a little bit. At some point, I started getting worried because... I don't really have money to replace... If you look at my money right now, there's 100 minerals. I mean, I know I still have a few K from the gold bases, but I feel like every tank I lose is actually quite expensive. Now, one thing I didn't expect is that they all make a Greater Spire and Ultralisk Cavern. I actually kind of thought they all made like their own composition, but they really like to go into Ultras. I didn't see that many Brute Lords this game. I feel like Brute Lords are typically pretty scary to go up against, but here, I did not quite see a lot of them. And I have to admit here, I was a little bit lucky this game, by the way, with one particular thing. I'm not sure if you guys remember the Liberator on the left side. But that AI opened with Infestors rather than Hydra, so my Liberator actually killed a bunch of Infestors at the start. Like I said, sometimes you can get pretty fortunate as well. When my Thor's going... That Thor has 36 kills, by the way. I don't remember seeing a Thor with that many kills. Because the Thor shoots really slow. Like, can you imagine a Thor killing 36 Zerglings? That actually takes a while. I didn't pay attention to the kill count on those. I must have... Maybe I could actually check the replay and see if I had a unit that has an insane kill count here. So now I'm going to eliminate 2 more AIs, which means there's 4 to go. You see, these are kind of victory scans. You can tell in my face, I'm starting to think like, wait, have I actually done this? This is crazy. I do want to say, by the way, this Planetary Fortress strategy that I did in this game, I think it only works against Zerg. I actually tried to do it once against Protoss and Terran, and it was kind of funny because Protoss literally made 4 Immortals and they just went brrr, and then my Planetary was gone. That's pretty much what happened. Now, one thing that's actually an idea. I'm not saying it's smart, but it's an idea. Look, here I got scared because I saw units pop up in the sensor tower, but it actually is not that big of an army. I think, in general, AIs have decent synergy, but I don't think they have good enough synergy to spend, like, their last 300 supply in Zerglings to attack me. So, all I had to do is receive my Liberators, one by one. But yeah, the Planetary Fortress strategy only works against Zerg. Please don't try it in against other races if you're going to. See? Oh, this was a little bit of a funny interaction. He just stole my Liberator, started dancing with it. Like, Liberator anti-air does so little damage, he just tickled my lip for like 4 damage and then let it go. That was quite funny. Wait, is that a second Greater Spire in that guy's base? That'd be a little bit surprising. I was gonna say, I'm surprised these guys haven't surrendered yet, like the AIs on the right side, but I guess they probably have the gold bases. Now, my plan with DCCs was just to make some planetaries in the middle of the map to secure my victory more and more. Like, I know it's hard to believe, but even at this point, I was really paranoid because, trust me, guys, if you do something for 71 attempts, you know, you do get to be a little bit paranoid. And, you know, 71 attempts, I decided to do 5 games a week. You don't just want to give things up. Now, at this point, I was sure I had it because my army looks unstoppable. It is going to take me a little bit to finish the AIs off. Actually, at some point, I wish I didn't have that many Liberators, because Liberators obviously not that good against buildings. Maybe there should be an upgrade. What do you guys think? everyone in the comments like, no, uThermal, what are you saying? Please don't do that. Imagine if you could siege like a cannon or a spore crawler from this. I think it would be pretty funny, actually. To be honest, spore crawlers are units anyway, right? Like, those actually move. Like, come on. I don't think it's funny looking at my face, because right now I feel pretty relaxed. But, you know, when I was playing this, I was just, like, checking the minimap all the time. It's like I'm playing the GSL finals over here. Guys, as an IEM champion, I can tell you, this was harder than winning an IEM. Okay, that's probably not true, actually. Never mind that statement, guys. But if you ever do it, you can say that for a second I thought you were better than an IM champion. Here I was actually surprised to see more Zerglings. I thought they probably ran out of units. You know, every time I saw more units pop up, I really thought, like, what if the AI actually combined all of their powers and sent all of those units to me at the same time? Because I really think, you know, I want to say, probably a 100+ supply of Zerglings. I felt like the small Infestor army. I felt the small Roach Hydra army. And I was really wondering if I combined them all together, or if they combined them all together and with a surround. Like, let's say 7 minutes ago you would have given this to Cero. You know, probably the best player of all time, Zerg player. In case you guys don't know him. I think a lot of you guys probably know him, a lot of you guys probably also don't. Do you guys think he would be able to surround me and win? That's what I'm thinking about. I mean, I think I probably would be even more nervous playing as an actual player, because I know they will control their units to a pro level. So that is, you know, always a little bit terrifying. Now we have a little bit of a race here. You can tell that I thought this was a funny game. You see the camera. This is when I finally let myself loose. I was finally like, all right, guys, we have done it. Thank goodness, guys. And that is indeed, I mean, I probably have like semi-spoiled it already a few times. And with semi-spoiled, I mean, I've totally spoiled it already a few times. But this is the first ever 1v7 insane AI with no build chosen to be completed, guys. I'm extremely proud of this. You can tell the smile is coming up as well. I thought it was funny how slow the Vikings killed stuff compared to the tanks, by the way. But yeah, this is an amazing record for me. I know it's not usually the content I upload to my channel, but I hope you guys still really enjoyed it. And like I said a few times, make sure to let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this. I personally thought it was really fun. Like, I wasn't kidding when I said it took me 71 attempts. This game, surprisingly, let's be honest, guys, this game, surprisingly, made it look kind of easy in some way. And I don't know if it's just because I got on so good after that many attempts, or if I actually, you know, got like really lucky, or just, you know, I maybe like my mechanics were perfect. I don't know what it is. I imagine mechanics don't matter too much, but if I look at this game, it even feels like I could do it twice in a row. Now, I'm definitely not gonna try this specific challenge again after 71 attempts. I am very happy to have actually finished it. Believe me, guys. Especially because at the start, you guys can imagine, I always want to bring the best content to you guys. So at the start, I think I commentated my first 50 attempts. So the way I'm doing commentary now, I did that for every first 50 games until I got so exhausted I couldn't stand it anymore, and that's why this is now a voiceover. All right. Yeah, here I really wish the Liberators could deal damages. I decided to just Overlord hunt with them a little bit. Look how slow they kill the Overlord. It's actually sick. These are, I think they're 3/3 Liberators. Oh, I actually didn't show it in the screen, my bad. Believe it or not, after a 38-minute game, it's kind of hard to remember exactly what happened. Here I felt like some of the AIs weren't surrendering. So I thought maybe they actually rebuilt their base. That's why I was sending tanks again to the bottom right. There we go. 1 GG. I think there's only one left at this point. Let's see, are we gonna kill it? Or do we have to kill all the buildings? I'm not sure. Maybe it's that one drone on the left. Sometimes it's literally... Oh, there we go. I think that's it, guys. Yes! We have done it officially. That's a happy mark on the screen. Look at him. He claps for himself. I'll clap to make the sound. There you go. Alright, guys. Beautiful. Look at the units lost here, by the way. I lost 21k. The AIs lost 70, 83, 66, 73, 46. 130 kills on that Liberators. 215 kills on that Lib, guys. That's an MVP Liberator right there. There we go. Alright, guys. That's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Adios.